Hi everyone, it's your favourite Atomic Blonde here with a little bit of Sunday lunch on this sunny Sunday. Well, it's morning at the moment, probably afternoon by the time this goes up. So yeah, the sun's actually out. It was dire yesterday, but it hasn't basically stopped raining all week. Shocker in the good old British summer, but yeah, it looks quite good out. So I thought I'd jump on early and have a little bit of a chat and then get on with my day and do some chores outside. How exciting. So, what to talk about? As I say, like each week, it's getting harder and harder to find things to talk about. What have I been watching? So, obviously, I haven't really seen much about it actually. People are a bit quiet on this one, but the latest sort of SouthPark special episode. This apparently there's some sort of rights issues that they can't make a series at the moment. This is why we keep getting the specials. But the new one of those dropped last Saturday. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember if I talked about this last week. It's terrible, isn't it? Everything's a blur. But yeah, I was just expecting to see more videos about it or people talking about it, and nobody really is, and it's a shame because it is quite a funny one. I don't think it's as good as the previous two that we've had, but definitely made me laugh, made me chuckle. It's obviously all about the new diet drugs or the diabetic drugs that are being used as the diet drugs that all the celebs are now on. And yeah, you've got this rogue gang of mums all walking around with these crop tops on because they've got this like tiny little waist for the first time in like 20 years and having like these diet pill drug parties, and Randy gets caught up in it, and then they're like raiding pharmacies like you'd see for like oxy or fentanyl gangs going in, but they're basically just getting this diet drug. And Cartman's told about it, and he starts fantasizing about what it'd be like to be skinny, and he can finally like be rude to people, and they can't call him fat anymore. He's like living the dream that he can be mean, and there's nothing mean somebody can say back. But then all his hopes are dashed because the doctor's like, it's $1,200 a month and you don't have diabetes, so we can't prescribe, you're gonna have to pay for it, kind of thing. And they can't afford that, so his mates basically decided to make their own which is just insane. And they come up and they manage to make this diet pill, and gradually like he has this disgusting thing like KFC with all different breakfast cereals and milk on the top, and he eats that, and he wasn't able to finish it for the first time in his life. He left like 2 chicken thighs, and this is like a major achievement. And then all the these cereal industries, so you got like Tony the Tiger and Captain Crunch, all like these like really bad like smoking characters decide to go take out the people who are making the diet pills because nobody's eating cereal anymore, and promoting sugar's bad and all these kind of things. So absolutely hilarious. So do go check it out. If you're a SouthPark fan, you will love it. It's the usual craziness, and you got these kind of, and the thing with Cartman, basically the doctors turn around and prescribe him Lizzo. So look, kid's gonna be fat, so just embrace it. The whole body positivity stuff. Apparently she's come out, she's not too happy about this, but she always strikes me as someone who doesn't really have a sense of humor. So yeah, really funny. As ever, absolutely on the nose take of where our clown world is right now. So yeah, go check out SouthPark if that's your shtick. Obviously, if you're easily offended, then don't. It's that simple. Yeah. It does what it says on the tin, SouthPark. You know what you're going to get, and if you don't like it, you're still not going to like it. But great bit of social commentary as always. So yeah, that was last Saturday. This weekend, so I caught up with some old films, actually not old, but a couple of years old, that I hadn't got around to seeing for various reasons. The Equalizer 3 with the fantastic Denzel Washington, again, does what it says on the tin. First film was great, second one a bit iffy, but still head and shoulders better than anything we get these days. Third one knocked it out of the park, absolutely loved it. We find out our character is in Italy. They don't explain why he's there equalizing. He's sort of taking out this family, this drug family, and we sort of come in at the end and there's just dead bodies everywhere, and the sort of head of the family comes in, and there's a couple of guys like pointing guns at him, and it's basically saying, yeah, you come here and you take out my family, you're going to die. And he sort of like says like 9 seconds, you got 9 seconds to live, kind of thing, and starts his watch, and then boom, it all kicks off, and yeah, does what he says. Absolutely does what he says. But he then gets shot by a young kid. He turns his back on him and walks away. He was in the truck. He must be the mobster's grandson or something like that. And he fires a gun at him, and he gets shot in the back, and manages to drive off, and then crashes the car, and somebody finds him and takes him to a local doctor in this beautiful little village in Italy somewhere. And he starts his recovery there, and then basically he kind of finds this lovely little community. Everybody knows each other. Like the doctors are kind of, he's the family doctor to everybody. Most of the kids in the village, he's delivered. It's all that kind of thing, which is a world away from his life in America and what he does. And he kind of finds some sort of peace. He sort of feels like, this is where I'm meant to be. And it kind of hints that he's kind of going to just stay there or retire there or something. Like his sort of days of equalizing's done. However, there's some, connected with like these drug families. There's some bad apples there, and they're extorting money from the businesses, and if people won't pay up, they like set fire to the shops, and there's obviously trying to move drug money through and all this kind of thing. So he then obviously takes a stand. He sees the people who looked after him, and one of the guy that actually rescued him, what turns out to be a policeman, doesn't ask any questions, just they help him get on his feet, and then he basically decides to take out this drug cartel. Like, dude, you picked on the wrong person here, kind of thing. Because they say they beat up the policeman and threaten his family, and he's got a little daughter, and then literally shove a gun in her face and kind of thing. So he sort of warns them, like, to get out of town, leave the people alone, and it'll all be fine. And of course they don't. And yeah, we get some cracking action. He goes to the home of this cartel leader, just basically just takes everybody out. Spoilers. but basically, saves this little town, and yeah, it's just kind of left that he's just going to sort of live out his days there, hopefully. So, but I really enjoyed it. It's not it's not a deep film. It's not a complicated film. You get exactly what it says on the tin. It's Denzel avenging, kicking butt, and just trying to live his life, basically. So, but I really enjoyed it. Like I say, it didn't have to think about it too much, and it delivered an equalizer film at the end of the day. It's exactly if you're looking for action, it is very violent, as you can imagine, and the sort of creative kills of the equalizers. Lots of machetes and things, and yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I don't know what it says about me, but I really enjoyed it. So go check out the Equalizer 3 if you've not yet seen it. It's just dropped on Sky Cinema here. So if you've got Now TV, you can watch it free. I'm sure most people have seen it. I say it was what I wanted to go see at the cinema when it came out. For whatever reason, just didn't get around to it. Yeah, so finally managed to catch that. So that's great. So that's a recommendation. I also watched yesterday Exorcist Believer. Now, as you know from this channel, I like a good horror film. I recently done some reviews on Immaculate and The First Omen. And I'm sort of thinking I need to talk more about horror films on this channel. I watch a lot of them. I've been a fan of them. I've brought up on horror films, horror books, and I don't really talk about them. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure even interesting is the right word. So it's from Blumhouse. They paid an obscene amount. I think like 400 million or something to get the rights to The Exorcist. And the David Gordon Green, I think it is, who done the remakes of the Halloween films, which are very mixed. I like some of them. Halloween Ends, but I thought they were a good stab at a reboot, and getting some of the wacky canon, I guess, that sort of came into play in the Halloween sequels. But yeah, I mean, they were good. I mean, again, they delivered what they said. You're going to get a Halloween film. You're going to get Michael Myers going around killing people, and you're going to get Jamie Lee Curtis trying to stop him. That's what it says. Anyway, I digress. So, I mean, The Exorcist is such a iconic film, and it's hard to explain to people. I mean, to be fair, this came out before I was born, so, and I'm pretty old, so this is a few years before even I was born. So it was just such a departure from anything that had ever been seen before at the cinema. The sort of storytelling, how the film was made. You know, people would be passing out and throwing up trying to watch this film. Like, today's movie audiences will watch it and probably think it's a bit boring because it's quite tame. You know, even though it's absolutely iconic, it's just that the world of horror and cinema has moved on so much since 1973. So to come out, you know, with a new Exorcist film, I mean, to be fair, other than Exorcist 3, which was obviously the direct sequel by Blatty, the guy that wrote the original, which is a cracking film, absolutely brilliant film. The studios didn't like it because it didn't really have like exorcisms in there, and again, there was a lot of interference from the studio, so the theatrical version is quite different to the original version that was filmed. If you can see the director's version, it's much better. The ending makes more sense. They kind of shoehorned an exorcism in there because it's called The Exorcist 3. It's but great performances, absolutely great performances. George C. Scott picking up as the policeman, taking over the role as the policeman that was in the first film. Other than that, all the other sequels have got, I mean, The Heretic is just awful, even though, like, Richard Burton, I mean, outstanding actor, but oof, did he make some duffers. And then you got Dominion and The Beginning, which are just two versions of the same film. So again, another load of studio interference, absolutely bonkers. And they've just never been able to nail a sequel, to be fair, I'd say, other than the third one, which worked because they just didn't, you know, they didn't do a remake of the first film, which is a trope of a lot of sequels, right? You just kind of get the first film again with the so very long-winded. So what did I think? I was expecting it to be awful. I mean, this got absolutely panned. Everybody seemed to hate it. Nobody really had anything good to say about it other than the some of the performances. So the bar was really, really pretty low. So in that sense, actually, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be because it got so criticised. I just thought this is going to be another Heretic. It wasn't. It is better than Heretic. I can confidently say that. If you've never seen Heretic, don't. You'll lose some brain cells. It's kind of but it is just treading old ground. So you've got these two girls. To the opener and the world building and kind of the backstory of the family, and it's great to see like a really nice father-daughter dynamic. He's not a deadbeat dad. He's a very good dad. Basically he's on honeymoon with his wife, who's heavily pregnant, in Haiti, randomly. I mean, I know this is really like a stupid thing, but she's like massively heavily pregnant. She looks about 8 months pregnant, 7-8 months pregnant. And they live in America. So I assume they would have to fly from America to Haiti. How she got on a plane that heavily pregnant, I don't know. But I guess this is the sort of questions we're not meant to ask. Anyway, so they're in Haiti. There's a massive earthquake. She's in the hotel. She's coming down the stairs collapse. And then we kind of cut to the sort of makeshift hospital. Obviously, there's lots of injured people. The doctors come to him. The husband's Victor, I think, and say, look, she's very seriously injured. We can only save one. We can save your wife, or we can save the baby. And he's got a choice to make. Then we cut to present day, or 13 years later, I think it said, and it's him and his daughter. So from that, we're led to believe, well, we don't know what choice he made, but we're led to kind of assume that maybe he chose the baby. We don't know. And so they've got this lovely father-daughter relationship. She takes a scarf that belonged to her mother. It's like a box of her things, you know, and her dad doesn't like her touching those because they're like obviously very precious to him. Anything happens, can't be replaced, etc. So sentimental value is huge. So she takes this scarf. She drops her off at school. She says, can she stay go around her friends after school to do homework? He's like, yeah, no problem. Make sure you're back for dinner. So her and her friend Katie go off into the woods, and they basically the daughter wants to speak to her mother, which she's never met her, obviously, because her mother died. So she has the scarf, a photo, and there's like this pendant. And the girl Katie, she comes from a very religious family. They go to church and all of that, and she's just basically, and the daughter Angela sort of says, like, sometimes she feels she can hear her mum's voice. So she's like, just open yourself up and just let the spirit, let's let the words come through you. Then, some bad stuff happens. We sort of see some flashes, and then obviously we cut to the dad coming home. She's not come home. He phones up the friend. The friend says, friend's mother says, oh, they're not here. They're saying they're staying at such and such's house. And he's like, So they phone another friend, and she basically says that they went off into the woods and I was covering for them and whatever. So obviously there's a big search. Cut long story short, 3 days later the girls turn up. They get taken to hospital. They're obviously examined. They're covered in cuts and bruises, and their fingernails are coming out and their toenails coming out, and obviously they're assessed and checked for sexual assault. And from there, it's just a downward trajectory. So all this building, quite good. At this point, obviously the girls come back and they start deteriorating, and the possession happens like really quickly. I mean, in The Exorcist, it took a long time to get there. Well, not a long time, but it gradually builds up. They go through all the doctors and psychiatrists, and it takes quite a long time for them to end up at a point where they're going to be, we're talking about demon possession. But the girls just, like, within a few days are showing signs of it. The mother, who's quite religious, just comes out straight away saying, well, clearly they're possessed by something. And it was just like, right, okay. The dad's obviously very skeptic, but then within that evening, his neighbour, who's also religious, who's a nurse at the hospital, gives him a book that was written by Chris O'Neill, who was Reagan's mother, and we have a bit of backstory stuff, and then that she went on to learn everything she could about exorcism. She wrote this book. She's estranged from Reagan because of it, because Reagan kind of felt used, or Reagan, everybody knows who she is, and she can't escape this event that happened in her life. He reads in the book that "Help Me" appeared on Reagan's stomach. He then goes to the police photos, and she's got "Help Me" written on her leg or something. And that's it. That's all it takes. He believes now. They bring Chris O'Neill into it. He goes to see her, and it's the most cringe thing ever. And she basically makes a comment about how she wasn't allowed to watch the exorcism because of the patriarchy. You're like, please, really? I mean, the fact that, you're not a priest, you're not an exorcist, it's highly dangerous, and both these people died who knew what they were doing. Probably a good idea you weren't in the room and seeing your daughter vomiting up green stuff everywhere. Just saying. Probably nothing to do with the patriarchy whatsoever. It's absolutely cringe, completely unnecessary. And just this woman was she's supposed to be like a successful actress in the first film, a very intelligent woman, strong woman. She's a single mum fighting to get her daughter help. She's just watching her daughter die in front of her, kind of thing, and no one will help her. The church won't help her. The hospitals won't help her. She's just it's really a strong, amazing woman. And now they've just made her this sort of cliche, not a broken woman, but she's she doesn't have Reagan in her life, and she's just trying to help. It just didn't feel like her character. And it was just, I think, almost like Memberberry, that can we sort of kind of shoehorn in some original characters somehow, so it all ties together. They gave her crap material to work with. Her character was terribly written, and she comes to not a very nice ending though. So when she goes to see because both the girls are possessed, so we've got 2 possessed girls this time, and the possessed girl basically takes a crucifix and stabs her eyes out with it, and then she's kind of in hospital for the rest of the movie. Very strange. The other thing as well is it leans very heavily into Victor and his daughter Angela, and the other girl Katie. We don't really learn a lot about their family other than they're very religious. There's an episode that happens in the church just after she comes back, and everybody's like, the daughter's just having some sort of breakdown after being kidnapped or something. But we don't really know much about her family, what her relationship's like with her parents. Are they close? She's got siblings, but other than that, there's this white middle class religious family. We don't really know anything about them. But Angela and her father, who, you know, happen to be black, but it's fine, you know, they lean really heavily into this. So I don't know if it's a conscious decision because of colour. I don't know. I'd like to think not, but the balance is just off in terms of these two children. They're both the lead characters. And what I will say is their performances were brilliant. I mean, these two very young sattresses absolutely nailed it. You believed it. And the performances right towards the end when they're doing the exorcism, especially Katie. And she said one part she's just breaking down that the parents, they basically have to choose. Like, one girl will live, one girl will die. If you don't choose, they will both die. So initially everybody says, right, we're not going to choose. We can't choose between our children. And the dad of Katie, the religious guy, basically goes, I choose Katie. Now, obviously, you do a deal with the devil, it's going to backfire on you. So they didn't explain, like, if by choosing you save them. What he inadvertently does is gives his daughter up and she gets taken to hell. But she's like sitting there sobbing, going, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. And the performance is just brilliant, really brilliant. The exorcism itself is a bit trite. They get all these different religions together. So you've got the pastor from the family. Initially, the Catholic priest doesn't get involved because the church has told him he's not allowed to, but then he ends up coming in and he basically, gets his head snapped round again, call back to the first one, what happens to Keris. And the sort of voodoo, Haiti type, it's not voodoo, I don't know, well, they never say it's voodoo, but it's some sort of African or Haiti, I don't know, some sort of hokey religion, I don't know. And then the nurse from next door, we find out at one point she was going to be a nun, and then didn't become a nun. So she's sort of doing the Catholic bit until the priest comes in, and and then the CGI is not very good. But the girls' performances are brilliant, really good, and they kind of saved the film, I think, to a degree. It made it like watchable enough that you sort of stick with it and find out what happens at the end. But you feel really sorry for Katie. I mean, this poor girl, basically her soul gets taken to hell, and you see that she's like, the demons got her, and obviously the parents are just breaking down because the dad realizes by choosing, he actually chose her to die, not to save her. And initially you think Angela's dead, but then she's okay. And there's this really like end monologue that felt like a bit of a reshoot and was shoehorned in, all about hope and what God wants and this, that, and the other thing. It just didn't really sit with the film, and you're a bit like, oh, what's this about, kind of thing. So if you're really stuck for something to watch, I'd say fine. I mean, it's not the worst possession film I've ever seen. It's definitely not the best one. It's not as bad as the criticism gives it, but it's just not particularly, the dialogue's not particularly well written. Some of the balance is off. It's like we need to care about both these girls and both these girls' families, and that's not really there. And it all just happens a bit jarringly too quickly. Like this whole, we go from naught to, because the first act is set up really well, and then the second half of the film just like just rushes through to get to the exorcism. And but we don't really understand the dynamic of her family. So why her father? Well, I mean, because he's her father, he loves her, he wants his daughter to live, but that we don't understand really the motivation behind it. Is it his faith? Is it because we don't understand what kind of relationship he has with his daughter? So where we do with Victor and Angela. So it's all right. That's all I can say. It's all right. I don't think I'd bother watching it again, but past a couple of hours. But I think on the plus side, because it hasn't done very well, they're bringing Mike Flanagan in. So, and if you don't know who that is, he is the guy who has written four miniseries for Netflix now, starting with Haunting of Hill House, I think it is. Gosh, I should remember. Then we had which was great, by the way. It's like based on the book Ghost Story. Then Midnight Mass, which is like a vampire type-esque thing. The third one he done, which is like the something club, I can't remember, wasn't very good. It was okay, but not as good as the others. And he just recently done obviously The Fall of House of Usher, which was brilliant. So his track record with horror is really good, but he does tend to obviously do like these TV an episodic TV, but he is a very well respected and established horror writer. So hopefully he can take The Exorcist and give us a good take, you know, something that pushes the story forward, that's just not a sort of rehash of the original. And originally The Exorcist Believer, I think, was going to be a trilogy. So they've kind of scrapped that. But I hope with the rewriting that you find out what happens to Katie, or you know, what more about her family, or they're just going to just ditch that. It's just going to be a standalone film and he's going to write something completely separate. I don't know. We've only just found out Mike Flanagan's joining, which is very exciting. I think that a lot of the horror community is like, woo, we might get something good here. Again, studio interference, stay out of it. Let them create, let them write. My only concern is when a writer's used to write in episodic, and obviously you're trying to make something that's hour and a half, 2 hours, it can be quite difficult to condense that storytelling. What I don't want is like a 3-hour bloody Exorcist film, because they're trying to you know tell this convoluted story. You know, if they're going to make a trilogy, just keep it, you know, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours tops, 3 films. Let's go. So yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, I was like, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but it's not a good film. So, you know. Yeah, it's not awful, but once was enough, I think. So that's fine. Anything else? I mean, oh, gosh. Lucasfilm. So after the George Lucas coming out throwing shade, well done, George, top bloke. Like, you don't understand my story. You don't understand the Force. He didn't come out and say it, but basically, like, the Force isn't freaking female, is it? Come on, it's an energy in the world, for crying out loud. Anyway, the press tour. They literally have taken something that's on fire and just chucked petrol on it. These people in this show, wow. I mean, they're not the sharpest knife in the drawer, are they? And like, if you're going to quote things from Star Wars, get it right. Anakin didn't destroy the Death Star, for crying out loud. And they're trying to sit there and tell us that Darth Vader wasn't evil. Like, we've misunderstood him somehow, or George didn't know his own creation somehow. It's like, what are you on about, you absolute tool? So, and the best thing, I saw someone put a clip up on X, and as he's sitting there, like, waxing lyrical about Darth Vader, and let's look at the moral conversation of Anakin Skywalker blowing up the Death Star. Hey, I have to watch that film. I've not seen that one. The lady on the end, there's three actors, is like, and literally as he's saying this, she's sitting there and she's going on the interview, like, cut. He needs to shut up. He needs to shut up right now. And that is just the funniest thing, that he's sitting there going, hey, I've watched Star Wars. I know all about this, and I'm going to tell the fans how it is. And hasn't even got the right character. It's absolutely hilarious. And this just shows, like, what is wrong, right? This is why these shows don't work, because there's no heart, there's no passion. They don't understand what they're talking about. They try and twist everything to fit the narrative for the modern audience. I've seen some of the reviews. I think Alan Ng's tweets have been absolutely hilarious. I mean, obviously he must have pre-access to this as it drops. I don't know. I haven't looked. I think maybe it's dropped. Oh God, I don't want to watch it. But apparently it takes like episode 3 or 4 for us to get pronouns, so, which is absolutely hilarious. So this is just going to be the biggest dumpster fire yet. You know, I mean, talk about just add insult to injury. You know, they're trying and sit there and tell us that Darth Vader wasn't evil, that he blew up the Death Star, obviously. And yeah, just bye-bye, Star Wars. I loved you. I saw you at the Dominion Theatre. The wee little dot. It's one of the best experiences of my life. You know, never seen anything like it, and it stayed with me. And I love Star Wars. Don't mind the prequel trilogy. As everybody says, it looks a hell of a lot better these days after the sequel trilogy. I did quite like Rogue One. I did. You know, I liked how they weaved it into A New Hope. But good Star Wars is gone. And until Disney are forced to sell the IP or everybody's fired at Lucasfilm, we are not going to get any good Star Wars anytime soon. So, yeah. But it's just, at this point, all you can do is point and laugh. It's just insulting, you know. And as everybody keeps saying, we don't care what the sexuality of the characters are. We don't care what the color of the characters are. Just give us a bloody good story, please. Or give us something that's actually Star Wars and good, and people will watch it. They won't care. I mean, most of Star Wars, as George was saying, is aliens. The whole point is it's aliens, and everybody's accepted. The whole thing in Star Wars is that people don't like droids. That's where the conflict is, right? But anyway, covering old ground. So good luck, Lucasfilm. You're gonna need it. It's just, this is insane, absolutely insane. And then I literally saw this morning before jumping on, excuse me, I have to do my usual IMBD thing because I can never remember people's names because I'm terrible. The actor from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Let me just find his name. Not the lead actor. Giancarlo Esposito, who played Gus Fring, has just signed on to Captain America Brave New World, is it now? Yeah, Brave New World. So this film was obviously done and in the can last year or the year before. I think they're on their third set of reshoots now, and they've just brought on a new character, a new actor to these reshoots. They are never going to make their money back on this film. It doesn't matter if it does actually come out and it's an absolute triumph. If you're on your third set of reshoots on something that's probably like 250, 300 million to start with, and you're on your third set of reshoots, I imagine like Harrison Ford is being paid a tidy amount, right? So, and same with like Mackie and all of that, right? So, and they have to keep bringing these actors back. There's a point where you just have to like go, look, we're just going with what we've got. It's gonna tank. Let's just cut our losses, right? Let's not you know, just keep shoveling money out the window. We're not going to make our money back now. Doesn't have, and the more we keep spending, we've got even less chance of making our money back. So let's just call time. So this far down the road, I think like at least a year, if not 2 years after finished filming this thing, you are still bringing actors on board to join this film is insane. I think Disney / Marvel, Lucasfilm, they have all lost their minds. They have all lost their tiny minds. And other than Deadpool and Wolverine, and that's only going to make money. I mean, it's going to have a really strong opening weekend. We know that, you know, for what it sold pre-tickets for, you know, for an R-rated film. As in America, I think it hasn't been rated here yet, but I imagine it's probably going to be a 15 here. But yeah, but if it's not good, you know, the word of mouth, it'll go off the cliff the same as all the others have done. You know, like Multiverse of Madness, you know, once people saw that and saw how bad it was, it just, whereas Guardians had the opposite effect. It had a very opening, but had legs because word of mouth was good. It was like, look, it's not as good as the first two, but it's not a bad film at all. You know, rounds out the trilogy quite well. So it has to be a good film. People aren't going to go see it if the word of mouth isn't good. but I think there's enough buzz around it. It'll have a pretty solid opening weekend. So, but it needs to say the film needs to be there for people to continue to go see it. So it's not in the bag. It's not in the bag at all for Disney making any money on this film. You know, it's got to be good. And people, I think the bar is like people, you know, it's quite high that people have are getting to that point. They've almost got zero tolerance for anything lightly, you know, political or woke or whatever, or so, or even just like bad films. People just aren't prepared to go and take 2 hours, 3 hours of their life and spend money on garbage. So we'll have to see. But yeah, Disney is completely insane right now. So, and Peltz has sold all his shares in Disney. Oh my God. I mean, but it was like, ha, loser. He's just made $1 billion profit. That does not scream loser to me. I wish I could be called a loser and make £1 billion. Thank you very much. I'd be like, I'll take it. Call me a loser. I'm quite happy with that. For £1 billion. Hell yeah. And £1 billion is more than $1 billion, by the way. So yeah, but it's insane. You know, the price keeps dropping. He's sold out. Now he has done this before. He sold all his shares and then bought back, and hence why he's made $1 billion. This guy's very savvy. But it will have repercussions on the share price. It will. And it also shows that he's got no faith that Ike is going to turn it around. And quite rightly, I mean, what has he done so far? I think, was it the May Day or Memorial Days in America last Monday? Park was empty. Virtually no one had gone to the parks. So basically, the one thing that's been propping Disney up is the income, the revenue from the parks, and that's going too. So yeah, how much longer can Iger hold on is really the question now. You know, there's already murmurings from Wall Street. The people that literally supported him a month ago, it was April, wasn't it, the proxy? So 6 weeks ago, and now sort of, which I find insane. Like 6 weeks ago, they're saying, throw your weight behind Iger. He's the only person that can save Disney. And literally 6 weeks later, they're like throwing him under the bus, which he highly deserves. There's literally nothing on the slab. The state. I say it is a corpse. Disney is a corpse. It is a slab. On the slate, say other than Deadpool, Wolverine, they'll probably make some money. Moana should have been a TV show. They've condensed it down into a film, so that doesn't bode well. Mufasa has been ratioed into oblivion in terms of the trailer, so that doesn't look good. So yeah, they are not going to make any money this year. And then we've got the joys to say the Acolyte dropping, Agatha, what's her face, It's Me or Just Me or whatever it's called this week, and Ironheart. So so from a TV perspective and a film perspective, it's not good. I have seen the trailer to Daredevil, which looked all okay. Worryingly. I mean, the devil's in the detail, right? It's there's no way I think it's going to be as good as the Netflix show. They didn't bring back the writers from the Netflix show, but at least it kind of looks like Daredevil. It looks a bit gritty. It's awful, isn't it? I don't think it's going to be good, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as what we have been getting. And that's really horrible thing. That's like your expectation. That's just so sad, because Daredevil was so good. Netflix absolutely nailed. I mean, I really enjoyed Jessica Jones. Like Daredevil. Luke Cage, I watched some of them. Iron Fist was the weak link in the chain there. Definitely, that was really bad, and that was probably the one that was the most departure from the source material, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, they absolutely nailed those shows. And it shows it can be done, right? It's not hard. Stick to the source material, make good stuff, have good actors who are there on merit. Not hard, is it? So yeah, remains to be seen. But the trailer The thing is, so many times I've sat here and gone, oh, the trailer looks quite good, and then we get absolute dross, you know, great steaming deuce, man. So yeah, I'm not naive to sit here and think it's going to be brilliant. Like I say, I don't think it's going to be a patch on the Netflix series, but it might be watchable. That's all I'm saying. It might be watchable. You know, Punisher back. But if they try and dilute it down and water it down for Disney, it's just not going to work. So we shall have to see. We shall see what we shall see. So I think that's about it, really. Just another week of ramblings. Hopefully I'll get my life together at some point soon. And yeah, get my butt down to the cinema and watch some films. And hey, we just need some good shows, some good shows to review. That's all I'm holding out for. So yeah, so that's it. Anyway, have a great week. I hope I'll be back next weekend. I'll be back next weekend with some more musings, ramblings, burblings. And hey, I might get it together to even have a few slides. Who knows? Can't but hope. But if not, I'll be here chatting away. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. And do leave me some comments. What are you watching? What are you up to? What do you want me to watch? Happy to engage. Love chatting to you. Love your views. And I will see you soon. Bye.